So expand on that more. Like, I mean, most people, I remember the Sierra Club, the big coffee table books with the beautiful pictures from, I think, Ansel Adams on it, or
Sure.
whoever. And like,
Well,
what was so insidious about the Sierra Club, or at least like some of their leadership?
I think the best way to describe them is in like a 2 year process. And that 2 year process goes from them formulating, or I guess maybe 3 years. Yeah, maybe 3 years. But they formulated the crisis committee.
Mm-hmm.
And they had an environmental crisis committee that was acting in conjunction with like the Club of Rome, which
Yeah.
just, to take some of the mystique out of that, what the Club of Rome was, especially in its foundational years, was a network of top ranking officials. And by officials, I'm saying that incorrectly. Scientific authorities is a better way
Mm-hmm.
to say it. So it was the academic elite, the elite of the elite, were in 100-member club that were all coordinating their activities
So this
around
is like
one
the
goal.
real Illuminati you're talking about.
No, no. Yeah, and see, that's another. It's very important to remember, like all of the foundational thoughts here, like come from H.G. Wells' open conspiracy. It's
Yeah.
called open conspiracy for a reason, because if you have a secret society, people they think that you're up to no good. So his whole argument was, whatever we do next, we have to be as open as possible. We have to lay. And you know what? If you have a bookmarked secret, everybody wants to know what's inside it. They're all guessing. But if you give them a stack of papers this big, no one reads it. I'm the only person who's read it. And it's like, in probably 200 years, the
this
modern scholars that I'm reading aren't reading the source material. No one's actually going back to this stuff. They were wide open about it, but no one's actually reading. It just
this
got
is
filed away.
this reminds me of Eco Health Alliance and the Wuhan labs right now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
is
I
that
mean,
something
the
similar?
NIH grants that they got, they were the ones who were like funding all the corona bat virus research, and like it was just all public documentation going on, and
Yeah, it's
yeah,
all right
nobody's
there
reading
for.
it.
No, it's the best place to hide things. Is why right in the open, and then you sound like a lunatic because you have to explain against the backdrop of every expert in the
Yeah,
industry, and you're like, well, they're all coordinating together. No, they're not. Actually, they say right here on their resume that they're a member of the Club of Rome,
yeah.
which is a coordinating group that has an interchanging membership from year to year that never exceeds more than 100 people. They say it like you can, but just getting people to actually read is like, it's like, look, they're telling you right here. That I have not figured out how to. That's the hurdle I'm still trying to overcome.
This It's so funny that you mentioned that, because I'm having a discussion with my buddy Max. Hi Max, if you're listening to this at some point, and I'm explaining a lot of this stuff in terms of like
Sure.
I think we were talking about the trans movement, and like, how I'm like, look, the UN has this shit in their educational, like, and I
It's
actually
called
reached out to you.
mainstreaming.
Oh,
Yeah.
like they're mainstreaming this whole gender shit, and it's part of their public education documentation, and they have it right there for kids as young as 5 to start taking on these mental models. And he's like, no fucking way, blah blah blah. And I'm like, I show him the documentation, and then I'm like, when we get back, I'm like, let's watch some of Shaky's videos. And we sit down and start watching the videos, and he's like out like a light. Sorry, no, it's a very interesting interview, but you like, if you're not a
I
wonk,
know. I know.
if
I
you're
know.
not a wonking into this stuff, it's so hard, and you make it entertaining.
Well,
Like, and
dude,
you're doing the reading for everybody.
I've been trying with the videos. I'm actually on the next project. I'm switching mediums for a little bit because I just really have a kind of a sense of urgency to get. A lot of this stuff is so relevant. Like I
It's
think that's the
so
hardest thing.
relevant.
It's the hardest thing about. It's like mankind can. I it's Kierkegaard, but I'll murder it. But it's like we have to live life forward, but we can only
Only
understand it
understand it
looking back.
backwards.
Yeah,
100%. Yes.
and to understand
Yep.
where we're at, we have. It's like we have this concept like we're traveling forward, but we're not. We're falling. And like if you can turn and look backwards, and you can see where everything, you can get a better trajectory on where you're actually
Yeah.
going to land, and you can steer yourself better from there. I think from historical perspective, because when you're going forward, you're just free falling and you're looking at all the stuff, but you're not accounting for all of everything that's attached to it. Like you're and you're going off of all of these people who are also lost. Like, you have to look backward to
Yeah.
actually understand where you're standing.
You just reminded me of this comic that I saw recently, where it's like those who don't study history are destined to repeat it, and those that do are destined to watch everybody else repeat it and not be
Yeah,
listened to, basically.
yeah, that's very real.